So I had a student in the class pose a really good question. So what if he had a mock-up or a picture just like this, but you didn't have a specific mock-up to do all the calculations for you, like you do with some mock-ups? What if I have to manually put this onto the coffee cup? And also I want to have a colored background. Well, it'll look a little awkward because it's flat. So how do we get this on this rounded cup and make it look realistic with a colored background? So I'm going to go ahead and show you how the warp tool works. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. I want to create a background layer for this logo that will probably cover this cup. So let's make it about the same size so we don't have to stretch it. And let's just pick out a generic color. So let me grab this gold color. I'm going to grab my paint bucket tool. I'm going to kind of put that over there. Put the logo on top. And I'm just going to go ahead and join these layers together. So I'm selecting both. And I'm going to join them together. I can use a shortcut Command E, or I can right click and merge my layers. So how do I apply this flat image on that rounded area? So this is how you do it manually. I'm going to go up to image, let's see, transform, and you're going to select on warp. And it's going to give you a lot of different options here. It's going to give you, I guess it's about 12 different points that you can manipulate. And I like to go over to my opacity and reduce it so I can see the object I'm trying to match it against. And you could do this with you could use this tool for a variety of things. You can put the logo on anything. If there's a particular mock-up you can't find online that's free, you can do your own just like this. And it helps kind of adapt to different curved shapes a little bit better. So I'm just matching up everything, lining everything up to this blue area of the cup. Just adjusting these little anchor points. I don't want to stretch it too much. I'm trying to stretch it just enough to cover that blue area. And I can also kind of manipulate the inside points just a little bit so we can see that stretch it just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. And once I'm 100% happy, bring that down a little bit. Okay, press enter. And I'm going to go back and increase my opacity again. So there's some little things you can always go back to transform and do it again. Transform warp. If there's like little items that it didn't work out perfectly, you can always go back and cover up the blue area. Well, it's not perfect, but you can go back and noodle with it. Well, how do we make it look 3D? Well, it's a couple things we can do. We can go ahead and grab our dodge and burn tools. We're going to start out with a burn tool and use the burn tool to make shadows. So I'm going to make I have a nice large feathered brush. That's a feathered brush. I'm just going to paint on some shadows. I'm going to go, when I don't like the specific color it produces, I go back up here and I adjust it to highlights. I switch back between the two till I get the right composition. So I'm just drawing some highlights to make it a little more 3D, or shadows and highlights. So now I'm going to do the dodge tool, and I can make this a little bit bigger. Let me go back and make that highlights. Ooh, that's really strong. So I can reduce my exposure a little bit on there. And maybe a little bit more. Just want a very subtle little highlight. And I can always adjust the image brightness and contrast and noodle around with that a little bit to make it. And there you go.